Got it.
Well, hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey. We've
Hello.
got a little bit of a glorious meeting going on here. And I've got a bunch of my ladies that I love so much. And we all decided, well, actually God decided, and we all got together to do a little roundtable discussion tonight about love and being loved. So, wow, that's a big topic, right?
Yes.
And you know, the fun thing about this is totally unplanned, totally unrehearsed. Nobody studied for this. This is all, you know, what's the word Brian uses? Spontaneous. Thank you. This is so spontaneous. And our desire here is just to share our hearts, share our stories, and you know, hope that each one of you watching this will feel loved on a whole nother level and glean from it. Why are you laughing at me? So yay. So I guess, you know what, I'll start because we really have no script. Like, we really just took on a big topic and just said, let's do this. And so today I was thinking about this, and you can see I've got my little posse here. I've got Shauna and I've got Natalie, and the guys are outside right now. They're doing a little bit of target shooting, teaching the boys
nice.
how to safely use their little BB guns and stuff like that. So it's fun. But earlier we were cooking, and we were all, if you've ever been to my house, you know my kitchen is tiny. It's a little tiny galley style kitchen. And we were getting ready to do steaks on the grill and veggies and stuff like that. So there was a lot of chopping and cooking. Well, kids are running around, dogs are barking. I'm like, it was real life. It was real life. And so I'm standing at my counter chopping green peppers, and I'm just getting whacked at the thought of how much love is in my house right now. And I was just getting rocked at, you know, I'm not worried at all. I have total peace. Normally, I'm so worried when people come to my house, worrying that it's so small that they're going to be uncomfortable, worrying that, you know, maybe I'm not going to entertain them enough, whatever. But you know what? There was no thought of that. Why is that? Because the people that are here, and I'm talking to you ladies too, because you're all that way in my life, there's so much love, you know, and it's not about how big your house is. Not about even what you're serving. You know, I could have been warming up leftovers, and it would have been every bit as good. I didn't have to put on any false pretenses or masks. I was totally myself. And for me in that moment, thinking about what we were going to talk about, I thought, this is love. You know, recognizing who I am and how loved I am by the Father has led me to these relationships. And these are life-giving relationships, you know? So that really was rocking me today when I was thinking about it. And you know, it was really fun in the midst of all that. It was a little chaotic, was it not? There was a lot, the chaotic is not a good word. There was a lot of activity going on in the kitchen. And in the midst of it, Jim and Brian came back in the house. And Brian starts doing his bam bams a little bit. You know, it was like really random. And I'm laughing. Well, our grandson Dominic came in the room. And how did Brian introduce that to him? He says, oh, he came up to me and he went like this, you know, and he's like, the glory, right? You know, just releasing that on me. Well, my grandson Dominic saw it and he goes, what are you doing? And so he got this little mini lesson on just how to drink from another and just to receive the love of God. And Dominic was going around. It was effortless, wasn't it? Yeah. Like he really just picked it up, boom, right now. Yeah. And he was running around going from person to person doing this. And then he's like, what was he saying? Was he saying drink?
No, what was so beautiful about that, I'm going to add to that, is that he says, well, what are you doing? And then I just asked him a question. I said, what did you feel? And he said, well, I felt your finger on my head. And then I said, well, what did you feel? Did you feel anything in the rest of your body? And he says, well, yeah, you know, like a tingly. And I said, well, then you got it. That's it. and we were talking about that, but then he just went around and said, let me do this to you. Just close your eyes.
Yeah, that's how he said it.
It's the power of God.
That's awesome.
Isn't that awesome?
Yes.
And there's no effort to that. It's just family. It's just being real and just watching a child pick up on that and just with no thought, just take off and run. It was the most beautiful thing. So that was the thought I had today that really stayed with me. Did anybody else have anything? We can just bebop around.
As you were talking, I was like, me, my grid is work. So it was like, okay, we drink from one another, but there's also that place where we can drink either the healthy waters or the toxic waters, depending on what situation we're in. So as you were talking, God was showing me that what's happening is at work, instead of going into that place where people have been drinking of the love from me, it's been reversed where I've been having to deal with drinking of the toxic. And yesterday at work, at our meeting, I got to sit there and I got into that space. When I get into that flow, the flow, you guys know the flow that I'm talking about, where I get into that space where it just is pure love that's coming out of me. And I got to have one of those moments with all my staff in a meeting yesterday. And so it was like, I could feel it, and I don't know if they could feel it, but it was that moment of exchange where I was able to break down some walls. So being able to be open to it, in any kind of situation where that love, even with people that are work family or people in the street kind of thing.
Yes. That's good.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, how old is your grandson?
10 years old. Just turned 10.
That's cool. Because when you were talking, I was picturing him going around and doing that to all of his friends. Hey, let me show you the power of God. And just seeing all these kids in the lunchroom falling out under the power.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to the report.
Oh, it's so good. So, and then yesterday, if I'll share another thing, is that cool? Does anybody else want to go? I'm always wordy. So if you want to say something, you're going to have to jump in here, gal. So, I was thinking about some of my timeline journey yesterday, and it was just really hitting me, the beauty of just it hasn't even been a full year yet since I've come into some new beautiful relationships. And some of you all here on this, actually all of you here on this group are included in that, and a whole lot of changes in my life, a whole lot of, and I'll use the word, some know what it means and some don't. So maybe we can talk on that a little bit. Some deconstruction from religion happened. And there was a lot that went on. And so I was thinking about how when a lot of this newness was presented to me, there was fear involved in it. And I would find myself in a choice. Okay, do I pursue this? Whether it be a relationship, whether it be a belief, or do I stay where I'm at? And I found myself in those choices so many times. And I'll tell you what, I have become quite the risk taker because I've said yes to just about all of it. And I was just getting rocked at the things that were scary to me before, some of the relationships. And I thought, oh, I don't know if I could be in relationship with that person because I think that they're awesome, but what they carry is so outside of the box for me, and I'm not talking about one, but several people. But then, God would just pull, and we're talking about love here. So the question was, can you love this person? Even though you feel the fear, can you love that person and, you know, just dip your toe in the water, so to speak, and just see what happens. And so I did that, and this journey has been pretty amazing. And so I went from a place where I was hesitant in some of these relationships, and now I have these amazing family relationships. I've had so many mindsets that have changed. I've had so much freedom. And, you know, and that's the love of God, isn't it? When we see something and our five senses go, oh, that's so different. That's so scary. Oh, you know, and then safety tells us, or wisdom, I'm going to do air quotes, wisdom tells us, oh, don't do that. That's different than anything you've ever experienced, right? And so what I've personally encountered myself is saying yes to that and saying yes to some of these relationships. These people have had massive keys for me, keys of truth, of understanding the love of God at another depth. So, you know, I used to believe the gospel was good. You guys are cracking me up here with your little grin. The gospel was good. And I used to wonder why people would say it's a scandalous gospel. And I never understood that. I would think to myself, what's scandalous? You know, it's the love of God. You know, Jesus, he came and he died for us. What's scandalous about it? Well, the scandalous part about it is that it's so very, very, very good that it almost seems fairy tale, does it not?
Yeah.
You know that we're loved no matter what, that we're included no matter what, and all really does mean all in the scriptures, right?
Mhm.
Like every single person is included, and I'm not even going to go down the list and look at your behavior, because your behavior is not the reason you're included, and you're included because you're in the all, and God said that.
Mhm.
So, wow. So now, like, the box of the people I can love has blown wide open. I can no longer have prejudice. I can no longer think, you know, me, us, them. It's all, we're all included. I don't know about you guys, but there's a lot of whack on that, and I'm getting hit even just sharing it.
Yeah.
I'm getting wet. Feel my cheeks. I'm on fire.
No, I was gonna say I'm sweaty now.
I mean, I know all of you have encountered that, but have you experienced that choice where something has seemed out of the box, and fear has made you a little bit hesitant to kind of tread into that, and then you make the choice and you go, I am so thankful I did that. And then the sphere of love and just the ability to love just gets blown out of the water.
Mhm.
It's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I know for me, and it's just a little something, but I shared a word just a few days ago about the movie Moana. And I really almost didn't share that because I thought, you know, I don't want people thinking, you know, I don't want, you know, because I don't want anybody offended, you know. But then I thought, but you're only saying it in love. You're only giving love. And it was like, I'm doing it. And I hit that button so fast. I mean, I just did it. And I still found myself thinking later, maybe I shouldn't have, but I was like, no, I really think I was supposed to do that. Sometimes we don't do things and we say it's wisdom, and really it's just fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Ooh, say that again. That's a really true statement. That last thing you said there.
yeah, that sometimes that we don't do something because we think it's wisdom, but it's really fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That scripture in James is coming to me, that wisdom is, you know, there's one wisdom that's, you know, good, and then there's the other that's like earthy and all of that, that's, you know, comes from fear. But while you were sharing, I was thinking about conversations that I've had with my counselor, and she's she's a heaven sent, life-giving relationship of mine also. And sometimes I need to check in and like, I'm not crazy, right? Like my cheese is still on my cracker. Everything's good. I don't know about you guys, but dabbling in some of the stuff, I'm like, I just need to double check because I don't know if I'm seeing things that are really there or what, but okay, I digress. Okay. So, she's very helpful. We were chit-chatting about anxiety, and I was like, I'm having a hard time because sometimes I see things, and as I'm working through past traumas and allowing things to surface and kind of deconstructing, like you were talking about, like I sometimes I'm like, I don't know if this is like weird visions, like trying to caution me and make me feel afraid to go into these places, or I don't know if I'm just in a safe enough space in my heart where this stuff can surface, or like repressed things. I'm like, I don't know if it's prophetic or what it is. So I just kind of, I've been sharing with her. And one of the things that we've really been talking about is like the love of God. And I was like, so, because for me, I never really understood why, but when I would get myself into those places, all worked up over, I wasn't sure what this is, anxious thoughts, whatever, my go-to has always been Psalm 91. So I would just kind of, put my hand on my heart and just think about Psalm 91, meditate on it. And it's always been my go-to. And I was sharing with her, and we were talking about like the protection, like what do you think that protection is, and that sort of thing. And even how it says you'll see with your eyes all of these things happening, but it won't come near you, like you're safe. And I was just like meditating on that, and we discussed that it's the love of God. So when I have these thoughts, I'm like, oh yeah, but what about, I'm like, oh wait, but I get to sit in my love bubble and my frequency and my, like my strong tower, which is I am loved. I am here. I am an expression of love. Like, just kind of bringing it all the way around. And that has changed my life in so many levels, in spaces, like to even challenge the thoughts that I have, like I can't wear that outside, like everybody's going to say something, or like, oh, I'm gonna have to deal with this, or but I'm like, no, I'm loved. So I just
That's really good. That reminds me of something a little similar that I think this happened like a week or two ago, and I was taking my dogs on a walk, and I was having one of those where I was really struggling. Not really, I wasn't like emotionally like torn up or anything, but just wrong mindsets wanted to have their rule that day, right? And so I'm walking, and God said so clearly to me, he goes, "You've forgotten who you are.
Yeah.
You've forgotten who you are today." And I said, "Yeah, I think I have." And he said, "Okay, well, I'm going to tell you who you are." I said, "Oh, please." And he goes, "You are timeless, you are pure light, and you are love." And I'm going to tell you right now, you want to talk about a mindset flip. I was free as a bee in that moment. And that has really stayed with me. So when I get in my head, are you resonating with that, Kendra?
I love the free as a bee. You don't even know what you did in that little phrase for me.
Oh, I love it. My corny little saying. Yay. Yeah. So now when I have days, I'll start out, and don't we do this, girls? And this is another beautiful aspect of love. So see, we're never meant to do life alone. Right? We're not. And, there was a time where we did our little prayer closet, and it was us and God. And I'm going to tell you that there's a space and a place for that. That's good to be still and be quiet with God. But this is a different time now where the body of Christ is needed. And, so this is what I do with it now. This is like a little shift for me in the love department. if I'm having one of those days and those thoughts are coming and those thoughts are coming. So the cool thing about thoughts is we don't have to agree with them, number one, and we don't even need to stew or think on them. We can just let them go, like, you'll know, like Moji, you know, like they're a little fluffy cloud, and we're just going to watch the wind just blow it away.
Mhm.
We just let it, like, we're aware of it. We're not going to try to lie, like, yeah, this is really happening. We just let it blow away. So on those days, I do that. I go, okay, I remember who God reminded me that I am. I am timeless. I am pure light, and I am love. And I bring myself back into that headspace. And you know what I do next? If that quote, and I do this in air quotes, if it doesn't work, I pick up the phone and I call one of you, or I message one of you, or I reach out, however that looks.
Yeah.
You know, because you guys, and I'm talking largely to whoever is watching this, who's in your space, in your group, who is the circle of people that God has placed in your life? Because you're meant to reach out and connect with them. They have another aspect of love, and they see you more clearly than you see yourself. Heather did that for me one time at a conference. She knew that I had been struggling for a couple of weeks with my identity, as far as, like, I love myself. I'm not going to lie. I really love who I am internally. Sometimes I struggle with this external package, right? With some of the stuff that's been shoved down our throats, especially as women, you know,
Yeah.
weight, appearance, clothing, this kind of stuff. And I'm telling you, I was struggling, and I was having a hard time for probably a good couple weeks. And so we met at this conference. Heather was there. Heather, I can't tell you what you did for me that day. She felt moved of the Lord to come up to me. You want to tell it, Heather? You know what I'm talking about.
Well, Brian had said to us to go up and speak our truths about ourselves to the other person. And I was just moved to go to you, and I just put my hands on your face, like I was speaking to myself.
She held my face in her hands.
And
Yeah.
I just told you how much I love myself, how much I love my body, how much I loved everything about me. And it just went on. And as we were being surrounded by other people in that moment, it was surreal, because you could feel the exchange of love for self, not like in a self-absorbed love, but just in loving one another. And like, you started to break and started to weep, and I'm like, okay, God, you're so, and then I started to break and weep, and that was just, that whole thing was just healing for both of us.
That was a special, precious moment for me. And I was so happy to have shared that with you. And so, I mean, that's a beautiful aspect of love, is it not?
Yeah.
But what we were talking about earlier, you know, the fear, you know, let's all be honest here. All of us have been hurt. All of us have been wounded by another human being at some point.
More than once. Yeah.
Yes. And so, you know, we build these walls, and we build these, you know, walls of protection. Take those walls down as the Lord, because He will. And that's another aspect of love. You know, as the timeline of your life unfolds, He's going to show you those things. And you're going to be able to take those down and bring people in. And He'll use those people also as wall crashers.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. Usually you can't put your wall down.
Yeah.
You just realize the wall had already come down with love. You know, all of a sudden you realize, oh, wow, I'm opening up. I'm speaking this. I never would have shared this before. I never would get on a video or whatever it is. Or all of a sudden you're doing things you wouldn't have done before because of love. And what's so beautiful about that is you can let go of the expectations of what love has to look like. I know for me, the hardest thing of receiving love was because I had an expectation of what it had to look like. And therefore giving love, I also had an expectation of what love's supposed to look like and feel like and be received like. There's something that happens inside of you where you just begin to learn to just love yourself and be yourself and figure out what that actually looks like.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know what I like. I don't even know what I desire, because we've been so busy trying to figure out what that other person wants us to be. And so when we start to actually love ourselves, we
Yeah.
start to figure out what it is we like,
Yeah.
what it is we don't like, whatever. And there comes this freedom and a release. And that's when I noticed for me that a lot of the walls started to come down that I didn't even know I had.
Yeah.
You know, and so it was just love. The way somebody loved me past those walls.
Yeah.
You know, it's beautiful.
Yeah, we really have to learn to relax in that love, you know, and that's hard sometimes, you know, because like you were talking about the expectations on what something looks like. We have all these expectations and prior circumstances of the way things felt or looked, and if they don't meet that mark per se, you know, we don't want to receive it. We don't want to relax in it. I know Jackie spoke a word to me the other night, and basically, you know, she said that I was waiting for it to go back to the way it was. That I was scared of that. And when she said that, I thought, you know, I don't think so, you know. But tonight, right before we went on this video, I started thinking about a song. The Lord speaks to me a lot in music and things, and it's this song. It's by my sister actually told me I needed to hear this song. It's been probably 2 years ago now, and it's by Casey Musgraves, and it's called Rainbow. And I don't know if you've ever heard that or not, but it's talking about here you are stuck out in the rain again. That's your perception. You're always in the rain, but the truth is there's always been a rainbow hanging over your head.
That's beautiful.
And, you know, and I was just getting ready and I started thinking about that song. So I started playing it, and I realized, I was where Jackie said I was, you know, and I've just kind of been dreading that any moment, you know, it's just going to kind of go back to what it was. But there's always been a rainbow hanging over our heads. And it's so funny that the two things that I even thought about when I was praying about this time was that song. And then this other one the other day, I said, Lord, I said,
we lose her audio.
Happened to
Can you guys hear her?
No.
Oh my.
he told me this song. And can y'all hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay. So he told me this song, and it took me a little bit to find it because I didn't even, it's just something I remember from my childhood, briefly from my childhood. I didn't really know the words, and I won't read it all, but it's all about perception. It says this crazy jigsaw puzzle life with all its pain and all its strife becomes a beautiful scene, but I mean only when you're loved. And it goes on to say, you know, talking about your dreams fading away and, you know, and being out there in the storm. And then it talks about the puzzle pieces coming together. And the last thing it says this crazy jigsaw puzzle life with all its pain and all its strife becomes a beautiful scene, but I mean only when you're loved. And it's like, we got to let go of those perceptions because of what we grew up in and what we've experienced. And the truth is, we've always been loved.
That's it.
That's right.
That's
Always.
it. Woo!
You know, so.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I just feel like I want to sit on that for a minute.
Mhm.
That last statement. The truth is, we've always been loved.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Were we talking about it today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Really, when you look back at your life and all those times where you thought you weren't being loved the way you thought you needed, when you go back with that a different perception and you see, you realize you were always loved.
Yeah.
And it shifts and it hits you at a whole different level when you're right, Susie, we've always been loved.
Yeah.
That's good.
And that goes back to something else we were talking about today also. So when somebody hurts us or somebody wounds us or somebody's unkind to us or rude to us, understanding the truth that, okay, like what God told me, you're timeless. I've never not been. You've never not been. We've always existed with God from the foundations of the world, from before the foundations. And so scripture tells us in Malachi 3 that we wrote a book of remembrance. And in that book, we wrote down some things and agreed to some things with some people, right? Some other people who were here walking around in earth suits just like us. And I dare say that we agreed sometimes to the hurt and the things that happened in our life. And why? So that we can remember their alarm clocks to remind us of who we really are, to remind us that we are loved. We've never not been loved. And so this really rocked me. I think, Natalie, I think you're the one who first really talked to me about this in this way, and it really hit me. Somebody had hurt me in a massive way, and I've been shifting through it for some time. And Natalie said to me, well, Danielle, it's a beautiful thing when you realize that that person was really loving you in that moment because they agreed to that so that you could awaken to who you truly are.
Ooh.
See, if that situation had not occurred, I would not be the person sitting here on this video right now.
Had it not occurred, you probably wouldn't have met anybody
It's
or
so,
connected with anybody right now.
so very true. And so the truth of the matter is, and I'm saying this largely, not in just my situation, but let's use my life as an example. I'm okay with that. That person has never not loved me, no matter how ugly it looks in the natural. That is the purest form of unconditional love.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, I'm not, and I'm going to say this because I feel like I want to put the disclaimer on there. I am not ever saying when somebody is physically abusing you that that's okay, or, some kind of like a terrible abuse. None of that is ever okay. But I'm talking about, these things that we travel through in our life relationally with each other.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, wow, that's a whole nother aspect of love, right?
It
Mhm.
is.
So that leads me to like the beginning of the week. I had somebody reach out to me and ask me about my belief system and like what I believed, about end times, what I believed about sin, and they were like, and I could feel it. And I had sought counsel with Danielle and Tracy in the process, just trying to like feel my way through the situation, because when they started questioning me, there was something in me that like started to have anxiety because I felt like they were just being confrontational. But I stood, even though like I felt like they were being confrontational. I was like, I feel like you're being demanding and wanting an answer. But I stood and I didn't come back at them with like malice or anything like that. But in the end, when I was telling Danielle about what I had spoke to them, she was like, Heather, you said, she couldn't remember if it was Jesus or Paul, but I believe it was Jesus. Like how Jesus talked to the Pharisees, that is pretty much how I had talked to this person in that. And Danielle was like, that's a form of love, because I was giving them truth without being mean. And ultimately the person decided, because of my beliefs, that they could no longer be aligned with me. And the day before I had said to them, So what you're telling me is you came on here to judge me and make me have leprosy and put me out of the camp. I had said that to them the day before, because I had spoke their heart in the matter to them in it. And the next day they come back and they were like, I just wanted to know, because if so, I've got to part ways with you. And I was like, okay, but I know in love, I know that when God reveals truth to that person will be back around to ask questions. So I'm like, okay, I don't have any malice towards the person. I'm not upset with the person. I know it's just one, and I still love the person. I just know there's a season that person has to be removed from my space.
Right.
Well, they're not open to receive either, Heather.
Yep.
Not.
Nope.
But I think even the truth that you spoke into that person, again, you're like planting seeds. You know, you're stirring up the soil. You know, and I just believe that person's going to come back. You know, down the road and say, "Aha, I got what you were trying to say." You know what I mean?
Yeah. So love comes in many forms, like many forms.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I have to tell you, ladies, that like I have a hard time reaching out.
Oh, I wouldn't guess that.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I have a hard time reaching out, and I'm in a season that I need the body.
Oh, I love you.
And I know that you all love me, but I have a hard time reaching out. So I ask that you reach out to me, because I'm in a season that God has showed me I need the body.
Mm-hmm.
And because I've been in isolation for too long. I've been in the cave for too long.
Yeah.
And I appreciate all of you, and I love all of you for every aspect that you bring into my life. You are absolute joy and pleasure, and I feel safe with all of you. Where for a long time in my life, I haven't felt safe with women, and I feel safe with all of you. I'm honored to say that you're my friends, and I can trust you and know that I'm safe with you. And that's love. That's being able to receive your love on top of it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get emotional, but
Oh,
I had to
Hey, you don't ever apologize for
It's
that.
real. I
It
can
is.
tell you that Heather, that when you called me back that next day, you know, when you wanted to see if I could talk then, I was so blessed that you called me. That was a blessing to me.
I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone.
That's so awesome. Pull them big girl pants up.
That's where freedom is.
That's right. Be scared and do it anyway.
Hey,
Absolutely.
that's when you really think about it. You cannot have courage without fear.
Yeah.
We
Right.
can't have freedom without bondage. So if we
Wow.
want to experience that peace and that freedom, it's taking those steps of jumping out of the boat when we feel like we can't even walk on water.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You don't need a miracle until you need a miracle. So it isn't until we're faced up with these things that we realize how loved we really are and how seen we really are. Because one of the reasons why we want to pull away when we're going through really hard times is we're afraid to be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not that I'm even going through hard times. I just need to be able to say, I need you. I need you. As a human being, I need you in my life. And not like on like a needy aspect, just I need you to be in my space. I need you to be in my life. It's because I've lived so long with I can do it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to get out of that so that I can be all things to all people.
Yeah.
Including yourself.
Yeah.
Lionel
that
Richie
explains
has a saying. He says that just beyond your comfort zone is where you live, is where you really live, where real life begins, just beyond your comfort zone.
It's like Daniel was saying earlier today, how she's like stepping through her fear, her fears, and she's going on to that other side. And that's exactly what you're talking about, Susie. It's that place that we never knew existed because we stay in safety. We let our fears control us in a way, and there are a lot of stuff, even our society and, a lot of stuff contributes to that as well. And then just to push beyond and to that place where we're all meant to be anyway.
Right.
Finally get there. It's like, when Danielle's talking, I'm like, listen to her talk. Listen to it. It's almost like heaven on earth. Honestly, how I'm like, wow. And not many. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know anybody that talks like this. I don't know nobody's experienced this. And it's like, well, Jackie and Brian, you know what I'm saying, but outside it's
Our
like
tribe.
yeah. Yeah. And it's just it's just like, it's almost like euphoria almost. It's almost like it's just beautiful. And I concur with Heather. It's very hard for me to reach out and say, hey, this is happening, whatever. I struggle with that all the time. And I know, because I've always done things, on my own, for like decades, and it's hard for me to reach out. But I have to process stuff first in my own head before I can, because I'm just like, I have to deal with it first when it's kind of overwhelming and everything. But that fear, going past that fear gate or door and walking into this beautiful opposite place of that, that contradiction of love and just being in that place where you're just tapped into the God in everybody. And it's just, Danielle, it's absolutely beautiful. And I know part of your story, and I know all this, some of the things that you said you've been through, and, you've had, if you don't mind me, like shift sessions with Brian to help heal and to bring all that stuff, and you practice what you preach. And it's just beautiful. And it's very encouraging, for me to listen to all of you as well, because you've already gone through what I'm going through. And to see, well, this is the goal. Look at these women, look what God's doing. And, and he's going to, he wants to do it in everybody. I look at you and it's like, there's a globe filled with, what do we have? Like 9 billion people now or something like that. And God wants us all in that place, and then boom, woo, this planet would just light up. And, my God, we would all transcend to a level that we probably just be taken up, I would imagine. Boom, just like that. You know what I mean? Think about it. But I don't know. I just think it's loving and trusting yourself to push through all these things. It's that's and to know who you are at the same, and taking that courage. And Heather, I know you're going through a lot of changes. I'm going through a lot of these changes with you. I got a lot of decisions to make in a very short period of time. And if you look at it, put it all on paper, it's overwhelming. It's like, holy smokes, man. Holy smokes, I'm doing this. And one of my favorite things that I like that Brian says is that free fall. You're in the free fall. You're in the free fall. And I'm like, wow. And once for me, like, once I take my hands off it, and Heather helps guide me through this too, is like, right. Like doing that free fall and just like gliding through these processes in a way, and through these decisions and these choices, instead of being so cramped up and tightened up. And, I'm recognizing, because I had a couple of things happen this week, and I'll mention one, but I went into work on Thursday. My boss said, I need to talk to you. The girl just got fired 2 days ago on Tuesday. And I'm like, oh, okay, this ought to be interesting. And the first second, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm the second person to be fired this week, whatever. But make a long story short, that wasn't the case. But our practice is merging into a huge practice. We have a little practice, family practice. We're merging into a huge one, which this particular satellite is the problem child of Trinity, St. Mary's that I work for. So we're going in there. My boss has been asked to be the boss of it to straighten everything out, so to speak. And normally I would like for like a minute, I was freaking out, 5 minutes. Even though I'm like, holy shit, this is like, I got to adjust this. I got to adjust all these personalities. We got to move. I mean, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, why the hell am I worried? You know, then all of a sudden, like I'm walking around our, you know, offices and everything outside, and I'm talking to God and like, why am I worried about this? This is all part of the process. This is all like, you know, it's change. And change had, you know, historically has been hard for me in the past because change can either bring something in that's better or it can bring in things that are worse. And, you know, and I've had, you know, things in my life happen where it's been worse. And I'm like, so I'm always kind of cringing when it comes to big, major, whatever. But and it's interesting because I watch everybody around me and everybody's like having their own reactions to this news. And I'm like, you know what? It's going to be all right. And they're talking about, you know, in different aspects. I'm like, you know what? We all stick together. We're all a team. You know, we all look out for each other. We're going to go right. You know, we're going to be okay in all this. And, you know, as long as we just, you know, support each other and be a team. And it just changed the atmosphere and everything. But it's about loving myself in this process. And believing and trusting God and me in the process, but also believing and trusting and loving on my coworkers and say, you know what, we are going into this. They say it's chaos. And I thought my work was chaos. This is like double the trouble. But like, we're going to go in there and it's going to be all right. And I just, you know, as soon as that happened, there was like a huge shift in our office. And now it's like, I can't explain it. It's like, there's like a knitting of all of us together now because we're all going to do this together. Do you know what I'm saying? It's love, and it's good. It's
Wow,
really,
that's amazing.
yeah, it's good. It's really good. But I don't know. I think I got up on our little rabbit trail.
I don't think you did at all. I think that's beautiful. Sounds good.
All
You know,
all because of you.
Yeah.
and that's boots on the ground. That's like boots on the ground with love in your space. Like, you know, I've talked to you about the different departments I've been put in at work and how I have to go through the motions to get everybody to be in that unity. And it happens and they don't realize that it's God doing it. And then they get in that space of joy and peace and love after, and it gets cultivated in that space. To where like the other night, you know, because you know what I went through at work the other night, one of the girls said to me, she's like, yeah, when I first met you, I was like, I didn't know about this. She goes, but I love you. So like now my staff is reciprocating the love back to me in the one department. I'm working on another department trying to get it to that space. And it's slowly, like yesterday, I felt the flow. That was like the first step. It's going to start coming. You know, I got some bumps and bruises to go through. But, you know, that's what's going to happen in your work. You guys are going to, as you come into that wholeness as a team in unity, you're going to bring in an aspect that they don't understand when it comes to that love. Because you're going to hold that space of love for them until they can come into that space of love.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is, you know, once people experience that, and I think the workplace is so in need of this. I mean, everywhere. Oh my goodness. People, you know, they go home for refuge and safety from their jobs nowadays. It's like, you know, but I just love it. I do. And it changed. And I think Heather, you had mentioned too, it's like, then when something happens that's not loving, like I had a coworker that had an outburst on, was it Friday? And it disrupted the whole harmony of the place. And the couple of the other girls were like, you know, she can't talk like that, whatever. Here's the point. Once they have that love and that feeling, they want it back. It's like,
Yes.
it's like a drug. They want it back. They want to be in that comfort. They want to be in that rest. They want to be in that unity. And yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they start to seek it after that. When it's not
Yeah.
there, they want it. They want to go back into that place of refuge with God. Yes.
Yep. And I was just thinking too, when you were talking, is like when you're when you're spreading the love and everything at your job and you're changing those atmospheres, it's affecting them. Then they're going home and it's affecting their house.
Yeah.
It's a big old circle. It's awesome.
And you know, there's a couple things that came to my mind and I just have to share them. Okay, first of all, this is backtracking a couple. We were talking about the uncomfortable, and I just heard our dear friend Jackie Myers in my head and saw her little finger and her little pink fingernail point, and she says, "Uncomfortable is the way," right? Uncomfortable is the way. Jackie taught me that. When she first started telling me that, I thought, okay, that sounds fine and dandy. I had no idea what she was talking about, but boy, do I know now. And she's so true. It's so right.
Yeah.
And then Heather, you said something, there was a whole lot of power on it. You said, it's like we're boots on the ground. When we go,
Yeah.
and that's not just to work. Let's just paint the larger picture here. That's what we carry wherever we go in the marketplace that God has placed us, divinely placed us. You know, a lot of times we think about, oh, these wonderful divine appointments or these divine connections I have. Don't ever stop and forget that you are someone's divine appointment and divine connection. Yes. And it kind of reminds me of something that God shared with me recently. I had this whole, I feel led to share the encounter. May I?
Yeah.
I'll try to like streamline it because it's a little long. Some of you might know it, but I don't think the majority of you have heard it. So it's like my little drunken grocery store encounter that I had. For those of you out there who don't understand, you can get drunk by the Spirit. There was no alcohol involved. So I was just getting hit with the love of God in my home this particular day. It was just a love ambush. And it was so strong on me that I was literally like tranquilized. I could barely move. And some of you who know me know that I'm in turtle mode. My husband will tell you I'm the slowest moving person. And I like it that way. But this particular day, it was like slow on steroids. I was laid out on the floor in my bedroom. I was literally like doing my stretches for my back. It was kind of like, oh, slow motion. That's what it felt like. And I was laughing because it was hysterical how slow it was and I was aware of it. But I was so hit with the love of God that I didn't care. And so there we go. There's Jackie in my head again. She says, all you need is an encounter. One encounter with the love of God will make you stop asking questions. Because you can ask all the questions you want and think things with your left brain all you want and try to figure things out. But when you encounter it, when God meets you, and he's always meeting us, we're in him, he's with us. But sometimes you just get like a little special tasty treat because he's your dad and he loves you, right? I'm never the same after this encounter. I just felt led to share that. So my husband comes in, he goes, babe, you got to get off that floor. We got stuff we have to do today. We have a schedule. And he says, you got to go grocery shopping before. We had some fun things planned. I said, I know, I don't want to go to the grocery store. I'm too drunk. I can't. And he goes, yeah, you can. I'm like, oh, okay. So I get in my car and I'm driving and I'm feeling this love overflow. And I felt the desire to do a live video. And you know, I always check myself on that. I'm like, okay, God, you know, is this just me? You know, am I just kind of wanting to get on there? Or, you know, and he goes, God said to me, are you overflowing right now? And I said, oh yeah, there's no question. He goes, whenever there's an overflow, it's for others. Get on there and share. And so I said, okay. So I did my little live and I was laughing and I'm telling them, literally, I have no reason for being on this live. I have no plan. I have no message other than to share love with you. That's my only reason. I've got this overflow And I know the vibrational frequency I'm carrying, and I'm just sharing it out with you. So I'm driving to the store. So I get to the store and I park. And I end my video. I go in the store and I'm shopping, okay? And I'm so whacked. And now I've got my little earbuds in, and I'm listening to Who Knows Laura C. If you're ever whacked on the love of God, don't listen to Laura C as well, because it's like just a train wreck. So I'm in the store and I felt I had this strong desire to twirl like a ballerina. No, seriously.
I love Kendra's face.
I know.
Well, earlier I kept seeing, like, I was like, why do I have the strongest desire to get up and dance like a ballerina right now? And I kept seeing them on the jewelry box. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting whacked on being the jewelry box and all the jewels inside, and then the ballerina thing. So it's just exciting.
That's a whole nother story. We'll have to connect and I'll tell you about the ballerina, because there's a lot to that. There's a lot to that. Yeah,
That's my life.
Actually my nickname. I'm actually the tiny dancer. That's the nickname God gave me. There's a lot to that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I always, when I was a child, wanted to be a ballerina. And I've gotten so many words about being that jewelry box ballerina.
Woo.
And
Well,
about
I felt the deja vu hit me twice now. And I'm like, something's happening, because I'm feeling it just.
On the ballerina thing? Or all around?
I felt it twice. The deja vu hit me earlier when we were talking about, when Cindy brought up the rainbow. It hit me like we've been here before. And then right now, when Kendra was witnessing to you about the ballerina, another wave of deja vu hit me again.
I love that. I love that.
So
okay, so I'm in the grocery store and I'm feeling the strong desire to twirl like a ballerina. And so I'm like, okay, God, like there is at least a little line that I have to draw, a little tiny line in the grocery store. Like I'll twirl a lot of places. So God's like, okay, but dance in your way.
I wish I could have seen that.
Oh, it was fun. And so I did. I'm dancing. Now I'm not twirling, because seriously, I just made a deal with God. I'm like, yeah, I'll dance, but I'm not doing that in the grocery store. And he was like, okay. So I'm doing my thing. I'm going down. Now I'm in the meat aisle and I'm shopping for Natalie. I told her the story. She goes, it's the drunken turkey. And so I found one of those whole roaster chickens, right? And I'm so whacked. I picked this chicken up and I'm like, I love chicken and it's on sale. Yes! And I'm just so like overjoyed about this chicken. And so I'm dancing and I'm doing my thing and I'm thanking God, and I'm just in this love and in this joy, because perfect love casts out fear, does it not? So even I'm completely aware that I looked like I was inebriated with alcohol in the natural, but I know that it was God. And in that moment, yes, I wasn't doing the spinning and twirling, which by the way, I did later, but I didn't care. And I knew there was something on me. Well, this guy kept walking past me. And I was noticing him. And I said, God, what's up with that guy? And God said, pay attention to that guy. And I said, okay. Now, it wasn't creeper. It wasn't anything creeper, because, you can feel that. But this was just this guy. And I could feel like a pull from him as I'm going. I didn't understand what he was pulling from me. So I went up and down about 3 different aisles, dancing all the way, singing, just doing my thing. And this guy kept passing me. And God kept telling me, pay attention to him. So I get to the checkout counter, I check out, and then I'm walking out and that guy's standing there, and God said to me, do you know why, or do you want to know why that guy was noticing you? And I said, yeah, I do. And he said, because he's picking up on the frequency you're carrying right now, because you are so hit with love that the people in the store cannot help. They cannot help themselves but be affected by your very presence. Now, am I bragging on myself or being prideful? No, we're talking about love. This is who we are. This is what we carry. This is the God we serve. This is so powerful. Honey, you can walk into a room and sit there and say zippity-doo-dah, nothing. And the atmosphere will change because you showed up. Okay? So I check out of the grocery store. God shares this beautiful piece with me. And I was like, oh, that's fun, God. Is he really? Am I affecting him? yay, because that's all I ever want to do is reach people in love. That's my heart. Let me reach you in love. Let me help you. Let me pull you into what I know. Let me bring you in and join you to these beautiful people I'm connected to, right? That's my heart. So all I'm doing is grocery shopping, and God's showing me you're doing it right now. So I feel like that's really speaking to somebody who's stuck in striving right now. If you think striving is the way, I'm telling you, stop it. Because there's no more striving to be done. When Jesus said it is finished, he meant it. It is finished. You are already complete. You are already whole. You are lacking nothing. Okay. All right. So that's the first store. There's one more store. So I go to my car and then I have to walk next door. And okay, so we were supposed to go to a drum circle that night, Natalie, me, and my husband. It was snowing here in Ohio. So I get this text from my husband. He says, babe, I'm really feeling like we're not going to do the drum circle. I just feel like there's some kind of like God saying it's not safe to drive. He says, can you text Natalie and tell her? I said, now normally I'd be bummed by that, but I was not. And I'm like, okay, cool. And she'll understand. So I quick text her and she's like, yeah, that's fine. So now I have all this time on my hands, right? There's a point to this. So I go into the store and now I'm feeling this freedom of schedule. I'm just whacked with the love of God. I'm having so much fun. And that's another thing. God is fun. And you know what's funny? Like I have all these beautiful connections and people that I have a lot of fun with, but don't think that you always have to have another person there to have fun with God. He'll play with you. He'll play hide and seek with you. He'll play like, let's make a deal. I was like, I don't want to dance here. Okay, well then don't, but dance anyway, dance later. So I go in this other store. And then so Jim says to me in this text, so I hope there's no religious, well, if you are religiously minded and you're watching this, love me anyway, because you'll get over it like I did. But so here's the thing. Jim texts me and he says, hey, since we're not going, can you get me a 6-pack of beer? Okay, now we don't drink a lot in my house, but let me tell you, this is part of my testimony. I used to be so religiously constipated, okay? I was so like, that would have triggered me in the past. If he would have said, we'll get a 6-pack, we'd have been sitting in the marriage counseling office the following week. That's a true story. I used to be that person. So now I'm feeling the love and the peace and the joy of God as I'm going to the beer aisle and I'm thinking, oh, I might get myself a little drinky. What can I get here? You know? And so I'm shopping and doing my thing and I'm just getting hit with love. So I walk up to the checkout counter and now I'm so hit, I'm laughing for no reason. And I'm unloading my cart and the checkout girl's just looking at me and she's got that look like she's noticing too. And I'm laughing at the items I'm putting on the cart because none of them matched. They were like random office supplies, a 6-pack of beer, like hair gel. It was just this weird random. And so I'm laughing at this and I say to the girl at the counter, I'm sorry, this is hilarious. Look at these weird items I'm buying. Isn't this fun? And she starts cracking up. She starts laughing. And God said to me, don't think you just made a joke. She's picking up your frequency right now. And I went, oh, that's fun. That's cool. So she's checking me out and we're laughing. So I go to leave the store. Okay. And all of a sudden, as I'm walking out, I hear, wee, 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 right? And I'm like, I turn around, I look at the girl and I go, is that me? She goes, yeah, come back here. She goes, you shouldn't be setting the alarm off right now. You didn't buy anything with a magnetic strip. And in that moment, God said, Danielle, that is your frequency setting it off. Don't think you have any magnetic strips there. You are setting it off. And I said, oh my God. And I said, oh, but I want her to check it anyway. I want her to prove to me that there's no magnetic strips in there because I think I know what's happening here, but I want to see it in the physical. So she pulls out my items. She goes, I don't know what's happening. Why is that going off? There is nothing magnetic in here. And I said, thank you very much. Can I go? She goes, yep. I walked through and I was like, the lesson I learned in that encounter. And I know that was a long story. So thank you for listening. You are so loaded with God. You are so loaded with love. I don't know how to put it any more plain than that. You are an atmosphere changer. You are. And remember what I said earlier about the Bible saying all? So don't think that it's only, you know, us on the screen, or, you know, the pastor up there with the Bible, or someone who's got all kinds of ordinations hanging on the wall. No, no, no. It's them too. They're included, but it's you. So that is a whole beautiful aspect of love that we carry. Heather, you're responsible for this because you said boots on the, what'd you say? Boots on the
ground.
Boots on the ground, baby. Your boots are on the ground. You are totally full. You are totally ready. And Brian and Shauna like to say, what's the thing about God packed your lunch? How do you guys say that?
Yeah.
Share that.
That he's packed your lunch and he sent you here, so you got everything in you that you already need, that you need for the journey. And I love what Brian says about how God said that there's a note in there and it says, make sure you share with your friends. So if you've already been sent here, yes, you've got everything you need for the journey. It's already in you. You don't need to look outwards anywhere else. It's in you. And now you get to share it.
Bam. And so our topic is love. Is that not love?
Yes.
Yes. Woo.
So your story reminds me of a Kendra story.
Oh, cool, Kendra.
When Kendra left New York a couple of years ago, and they were driving home, and they had to stop at a rest stop, and Kendra had the joy of the Lord, and she walked. You finished telling the story, Kendra.
Okay. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't always show up in real life the way that we think the joy of the Lord should. Okay. Sometimes we get epiphanies. Y'all are going to laugh. So we're in a toll station. Do you guys know what that is? Like off of the expressways? Okay. Yeah. So it's basically a giant metal building. And we're stopping and we get Burger King. And there's this woman at the cash register and she is so like not happy. And I was just like in the spirit, like praying for her, like sending her joy bubbles, and nothing. I'm like, have a good day, trying to perk conversation. Nothing is working on her. She is so annoyed with everything plus me. And I just like, man, Holy Spirit, please get her. And I step over to the side and I'm looking at my receipt. And I forget all about the cash register lady because now I'm having an epiphany about numbers. I'm like, has really like 1,300 people come through this store? Like the number was like 1398. And I said, no, that can't be it. Maybe it's just like the 98. When it gets to 100, then the next number will like flip over. And I was seeing like those scoreboards, like it's a number and it just flips down to the next one. And I was like, yup, because that's exactly how numbers work. Kendra, once this one gets to 10, that one rolls over to the next one. I'm glad we figured this out. And I laughed so hard because I feel like what you guys should know is I've always been the smart girl, like graduated top of my class, National Honor Society. Now here I am 30 something figuring out how numbers work in real life. And I laughed so hard. My laugh is like, and if you guys have ever met, well, you guys got to experience my laugh earlier.
I love your laugh.
And it is like ricocheting off of every inch of this dome. I hear it in echoes. There's people standing up like, her laugh is the coolest. And I look over and the lady is just like cracking up laughing. And I feel like I need to add this note. At the same time, a friend of mine was asking how much the jelly beans were on the other side of the store. She was on some weird keto diet and she wanted sugar-free jelly beans. And the guy was like, heard me laughing and was like, they're free. How cool is that? We won. I figured out how numbers work. She had joy. People, like there was 30 people or so laughing, like joining. It was the coolest experience of my life.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is cool. Boots on the ground, baby.
Yes.
Yeah. And
that's awesome.
Can I keep sharing for a second?
Yes.
Earlier, something was said and it reminded me of something else. And hold on, there's a point to that.
I can relate to that. Mhm. Something was said.
Talking about like how yeah, I was thinking you were talking about something. I was thinking about how much I've changed since I met Shauna and Brian and got connected to everybody else here. And I was just thinking about like in the time that Shauna's known me, how much I've changed physically, emotionally, spiritually, like in all my life circumstances. And I was thinking like, what was I going through when I met her and what was I thinking about? Like what was I praying? What was I talking to Papa God about in that time? And I remember the big thing was I was asking God, I want to love me as much as you love me. I want to know who I am and I want to have this. And today I was thinking about it and the way here, what pride really is, which is why I got so excited earlier, Danielle, when you were talking about I'm not prideful. Well, God showed me the truth of it is we're not prideful when we agree with him and we're saying that we're amazing.
Exactly. That's true humility.
Like, I'm just a holy piece of nothing. And,
nothing.
you know, and we're all of this slimy, because I remember I had the biggest breakthrough. I was at church and I was at the altar literally the summer before I met Brian and Shauna. And I was at the altar, like praying, because I was so broken, you guys, and in such a place. And I remember saying, God, I just want to agree with you. You say that I'm perfect. You say that I'm whole. You say this. Even though I don't feel that right now, because I feel like I know me and I know my judgments, you know, to my own mindsets. I know that I'm not these, but I'm going to choose to agree with you and I'm going to choose to surrender. And he told me right then, that was the definition of pride. I was being freed from pride. I had my own identity and of who I thought I was. And the more that I just continued to agree with him, like I'm just looking at the person that I was in 2018 when I met Brian and Shauna compared to now, like literally night and day. I mean,
yeah, that's awesome.
And I, as you were talking earlier about like loving yourself on the inside and loving your package, and I feel so proud of me today of like where I am, and not proud in a weird way, but like, yeah, God, like this is to me manifestation of those prayers. Like I was in such that place and now here I am like, heck yeah, we did it. You know, like,
hey,
I'm excited.
That's beautiful.
Mm.
Oh. Kendra, that's beautiful.
Thank you. I feel like I want to tag somebody else in, like high five, you're it.
I think it's Susie's. I think it's Susie's turn. She's got something to add.
I don't know what it would be. I don't know what it would be.
I like Kendra that when you're talking about your journey from 2018 till today, you know, and that complete surrender, you know, and I understand about, you know, I surrender, then I pick it back up. I surrender and I pick it back up. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. I was just about to say, sister, please don't let it think that it's been an easy peasy, I'm going to surrender and just slide on down the ice, you know, toboggan into freedom pool. That ain't it. It's been more like a hike. There's been ups and downs and lots of calls crying to Shauna, like, hey, I need you. Heather, hey, I need you. Like, pray for me, hold space. I'm going through. Like, it's been a sometimes uphill, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's good to see on you're like practically you're glowing. It's beautiful. It is. Oh, good for you. And, you know, and how does that affect your daughter as well? You know, it's like our children get affected like so deeply from it. It enriches. It's like a wave. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's a whole new level of freedom in me, like, because she's so free and sometimes it flies out of her mouth in certain ways. And I just have to remember that she's unconditional love and reminding me where my triggers and wounds are.
Yeah. You guys okay? We can't hear you.
They're muted.
You're muted.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got rowdy dogs over here.
Oh,
I let it out, and then 2 seconds later, someone let her in, so you might hear her. She's really playful right now.
Yeah. But that you guys both hit on it. It was like true humility is believing and saying and agreeing with who we really are, not who we're not. And so that's not prideful. Like you said, prideful is being someone and you're not. And so I think we're all, and a lot of people are starting to come into, well, who the heck am I?
Mhm.
And I think I hear that with a lot of different people of, well, I just thought my thoughts were just who I was. I thought that, this specific behavior was just me. And they're starting to be able to come into the realization of loving themselves at a whole nother level, of loving themselves the way that the Father does. And I'm seeing more and more people coming into that, which is absolutely beautiful, because there's freedom in that. Being, it's one thing to say God loves you, and then to be that expression of love wherever you go. It's just a whole nother level of experience. That's beautiful.
well, let me ask you a question. You've been with Brian for a long time, so you've seen like people progress and grow and everything. Have you noticed, like, since COVID, this thing where people really want to know who they are, it's been like accelerated, from your journey with Brian? You know what I mean? Because I think,
Yeah,
it's like you talk to different people, if like from different churches either, and they're all trying to get this,
Mhm.
but like in different, it's like different verbiage maybe, or you know what I mean? It's like collectively it's happening. Have you seen an increase that
yeah. Well,
agree to that?
yeah, what's happening? Absolutely. I would say the last 3 or 4 years, last 3 years or so, you're hearing about the word even deconstruction. And so more and more people constructing from religion, whether you've been in the church or not, you've experienced religion. That's what I try to tell people. I'm like, I didn't grow up in the church, but I still experienced religion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Religion is just a box somebody's put you in, and you can experience that no matter where you are.
Yeah.
So we're deconstructing from religion, which is anything that you thought you were or you had to be, any type of performance. And so I would have to say, though, that since COVID and the process of deconstruction and people coming more and more out of churchianity and a lot of the sense of it, you do see people wanting to know not only who God is, but who am I to God?
Yeah.
Because it's not enough to just say, I love God and I'm going to show God how much I love him, but it's so important to know how much he actually loves us, because it can just be cliche of God loves you. But if you haven't experienced that love, then it's just a word. It's not life-changing, life-breathing reality for us. And that's where people are coming into who they are, so they can be that reflection, that mirror for others to come into who they really are and experience that love.
Yeah. It's happening. It's beautiful. People are waking up. It's awesome. What does that mean? 20 minutes left for notification?
You're on mute. You're on mute.
Oh.
You're muted,
Kendra.
Usually when I push my space bar, it unmutes, but for some reason it didn't do that. So
You guys hear me?
But I sent that, Tracy, because I was trying to be sneaky and undercover just to let you guys know that it was like 20 minutes till we scheduled the end.
We're
But
wrapping up.
Oh, okay.
Cat's out of
There's no secrets here. It's all coming out.
No hidden agendas. No hidden agendas.
I love that.
I love it. Way to keep me on my
Well,
toes.
I just want to say something. Did someone else have something? Mine's not long. Okay. Heather, I want to honor you for your vulnerability. I love what you shared earlier and how powerful that is that you were able to be so transparent and just being yourself, knowing even that this is going to go out, so that others can see. And I just want to honor that and thank you for that. And I just want to encourage each one of us, myself, and every single person watching, to allow yourself to be uniquely who you are. And that, if you're hurting or if you're going through a trial or a struggle, that's okay. You don't have to put up a fake mask or, try to, act like you can handle everything. It's actually very strong to, we're always taught, suck it up, buttercup. You can do this, you can handle this. But what has that done? It's caused anxiety, it's caused depression, it's caused stress. And so I think that, and Heather, you were a great example of it. So I'm just going to use yours, that is a powerful thing in that moment when she said that. And Heather, I'm going to have to tell you, you actually helped me to understand something that God said to me yesterday about you. And I didn't realize it. So when you called me yesterday, or it might have been the day before, as the phone was ringing, God said, Danielle, she calls you an awful lot. You should call her more. And I had planned on doing that. And so I'm going to tell you right now, I call you too, but that's going to increase because I love you. And I just love that you reached out like that. So.
Yeah, and I appreciate that honor. And I say it with, I say it with that vulnerability for other people to see, to be real, to know
Absolutely.
that it's safe to be real.
Yeah.
That when you're with and especially with our tribe, we are safe. We are safe. We are safe to be real and say, okay, I need you. If I'm not reaching out to you, I need you to reach out to me, because I can get lax in it. I don't mean to, but I can. But for anybody out there, it's okay to be vulnerable. Vulnerable is not bad. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you less than. It just means that you are able to see where you need something different and speak it. Speak your truth in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's loving yourself. That is being able to love yourself in a place where you can be whole, be real with others, and be real with yourself. So,
I remember a post that somebody really wise put up a few months ago, and it really right in between my eyes when it came out, and it was such a simple truth. And it said, you cannot have relationship without vulnerability.
That's true.
So if you're in a relationship that you can't be yourself in, it's probably not a true relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Cut it out. How did they used to do that back in the day? Not for you, friend.
Was that one of your famous accents? That was good.
Yeah, that one comes out quite a bit.
It does.
Thankfully, not at work yet.
I can't wait till I get to. I was thinking about this when I saw the picture of you and Anthony with Brian and Shauna, and I'm like, I can't wait to be in the same space with both you and Anthony, because I've been in the space with either one of you, but not the two of you. And I can't wait till I get to be in that space.
Yes.
That's fun. I want all the space. I want to meet you guys. Yeah, Kendra, definitely. I feel like
I know
see, that's the coolest thing. Like, I do know you already. What, Susie? I'm sorry.
I was a little envious of all of y'all getting together tonight. I'm like, I know, I want to be there. I don't know how many times I've said since New York, I've got to have a jet. Got to have a jet.
Well, now you guys know why we have an RV and don't want to get rid of it. because we got to drive and go see all the people we love.
I
We
was
just need a
just
bigger
thinking,
one.
though, how much more awesome is it going to be when you guys are stable and everybody comes to you? So then it'll be like a pop-up party at Bob's every weekend with different
Yeah.
At a pop-up party at Bob's. That is awesome.
every weekend with different people. Like it's like the best of Rubik's Cube, but I think it's more like a tea because when we come together, it's like different flavors and spices, and we all get in there and we incubate and we drink, and it's so lovely.
Yes.
It is. It is.
And
It's
when
like
different people are there, it's like different essences and different, it's just, it's whacktastic.
I know exactly what it is because when you were talking, the song went through my head.
What?
You know what it is? It's
Huh.
the Love Shack, baby.
Well, and the place where you're going to be, the place is called the Loveness. Did you know that?
what was that, Susie?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Where y'all are going to be staying in South Carolina. The place is called the Love
It's
Nest.
called the Love Shack. Yeah, the Love Nest.
Are you serious? I
Yeah.
didn't know that. That's
Oh, yeah.
see, God is so fun. And he just proved that point right there.
That's
Bam.
right. That's
That's so
right.
fun. Love Shack, baby.
You guys, Susie, you guys are just love there anyways. Like I miss it. Like that's the one place that I leave and I hate leaving is when I go there. I mean, I hate leaving when I go to most meetings, but that's the one my heart really aches from is when I leave South Carolina.
Yes.
I can't wait to experience
I
that.
can't wait. I can't wait to get my
Are you going to
arms
be
around
there in
it.
October too, Kendra?
It's in October now?
Yes.
Yes, Bam Bam
This
is in
was still
October.
Father's Day. I've been telling you no because I'm busy on that weekend.
October 22nd, that weekend.
Oh,
I'm telling you now so I can reserve you.
girl, I'm
Woman.
right now to get my handy dandy calendar because I'm writing it.
Look at her. She's going for it.
It's October 22nd. I've already booked my airfare.
And I think one thing we should do, we should talk to Sheila about, I think we should have a dance party.
Yes.
Woo!
I love dance party. Yes.
And
Wouldn't that be fun?
Say that, that's amazing.
I think that we should have a talent show.
No, absolutely not.
I have dance scheduled on my calendar. Like this is a legit thing.
What is that?
I have dance parties scheduled in my calendor.
Oh my
That is
God.
hysterical.
I wanna do dance
No,
party.
and I think that Tracy should imitate Brian at the talent show.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I think she should do it right now. Give us a little ad.
Yeah.
real quick.
I can't. I don't know.
Okay, what's something that Brian says a lot? Sean will give you the line.
No, Tracy knows what Brian said.
No.
Come on, get your.
No. Can't. I was in the group that night. I'm too relaxed. I'm
She's in the
too.
groove.
We'll get her there again.
It was fun.
When you're
It
in
was all
South
good.
Carolina, you'll just redo.
Yeah, redo.
South Carolina.
Okay,
I'll
The
get.
dates?
I'll get his. I gotta get his pacing. I gotta get his pacing down and some his hand things that he does too.
Yes.
You're so
Yeah.
good.
I wish I
Yeah.
had
Here,
recorded
Jim,
this.
hop in real quick.
Come on, Jim. Give him a little
Here.
whack.
Natalie goes, "Hey Jim." Natalie,
Yeah,
knows
buddy.
she got to witness it. Natalie got to witness it.
Yeah, it was awesome. I got a shift session. You're getting the bam. So good.
Bam! She goes,
Yeah, whatever I said, I just got bammed. It was awesome. Yeah, it was so good.
So good.
It is.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That
Kendra, it's the weekend of the 22nd of October.
Yes.
It's in the calendar. I don't know where
Yay.
I'm going yet. I know it's the Love Nest. I'm thinking it's going to be off the highway in a little field, sits way back.
Yes.
That's kind of it.
That's kind of it. Yep. In Orangeburg, South Carolina.
That's it.
I love it. Love
Y'all know God's done something major in me if I can laugh at my own voice now.
I love it.
Wait, what did you, I didn't hear.
Yeah, she said, you know, God's done something in me when I can laugh at my own voice.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're
Yes.
flying in Kendra, it's in the closest one is Charleston.
I'll probably drive. Well, I don't know. It depends.
Charleston.
I'll drive.
So do you all feel so loved now? I do.
Yes. Yes.
Natalie, you haven't talked much. Natalie, you have anything you want to say? Share?
Yeah, I'll share something. Yeah, so August was just really good. I don't know, there's like a couple of things like that really stand out. I think earlier when we were talking about like how God's love comes in different ways. So like it might look like maybe not as we expected, maybe like a challenging thing that we go through and something like that for our good, or maybe it's like what we were just talking about earlier, like stepping out of our comfort zone and doing things that we're uncomfortable with, and that's the love of God. It's breaking off all of who we're not and all of those mindsets. So who we really are can come through the Christ in us and shine out. So for me too, it's been like learning that like, you know, like it's been a journey. Like I even wonder, I'm like, what is love? And just kind of seeking that like within my heart. I know that God is love and we are one with God. So we're love. Our nature is love.
Yeah.
And what does that look like? Like, so maybe it doesn't look like how I thought things should go. Maybe that doesn't look like my projections being fulfilled or my desires being fulfilled. With, you know, past circumstances, you know, things that like I've expected should look a certain way because that's right, you know, that's love. Even if it's reconciliation in a relationship, maybe it isn't the timing for that yet. And in my mind, you know, I thought that that's what love would be, but I didn't see that yet. Love could be letting go of my perception and my mindset from the way I see things and maybe letting someone go. And then now I feel in this season and love is kind of looking like when we were talking about courage, like stepping out and doing things and letting those mindsets be broken off in that area. So all the mindsets can fall. So what's really within can be revealed and I can get to experience that. So yeah, that's kind of like been a search and that like wanting to understand love. And I had this dream, like it was kind of cool. It was like a couple of weeks ago and then I told you about it. And it was just so interesting because I was asleep, but it woke me up because it was so strong. And it was just this like white, bright, like big, like just all it was this bright white light. And like in my sleep, I woke up to it and I like out loud was screaming like, oh, it's so bright. And it was like entering into my eyes and it just kind of like woke me up. And it was just really cool. It was just so cool because I was like, wow, like that's who we are, you know, we're that white light, we're that formlessness. That is the essence of who we are. And it was kind of like a face-to-face with myself. Because I've been on this, and it was kind of freaky because like I like literally like I woke up and I was like, it's so bright, and
whoa,
sometimes
Yes.
like I'm this, you know, like I'm this body and you know, it's an expression, it's what we express through, but God's like teaching me that on identity too, and what to identify with. And even as I had that encounter with that white light, I was like, wow, this is it, you know, it's that light, that love, this is who we are, you know, and we come from that place and we experience, you know, all that's around us, and we let that love encounter us through our everyday life, through what we walk through, no matter what it looks like or no matter what it is. And whatever angle it is, it's all good and it's all the love of God. And yeah, we can just rest in that.
Yeah.
I just saw all of us put our hands out and just release our love and our essence to anybody who watches this, hears this, whatever. I just feel like we just need to release all of us.
Yeah.
Wow. To all of you, Woo, and to each other.
Yes.
Ooh, I can feel that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Zoom keeps going. You're about to raise your hand. You're about to raise your hand because, like, as we got our hands up, it's like doing the thing for the system.
Yes. For sure.
Oh man. Oh, round two. Oh man. So yeah, I feel loved, and I hope everyone else here and apart will just feel the love that we had for you. Whoa.
Can I just want to share something. I don't know how much time we have. We have like a couple more seconds. Kendra?
6
Yes.
minutes.
Okay, 6 minutes. I just want to jump on to what Natalie said because it's really significant. Years ago, my grandmother was more my mother than my mother. And years ago, many years ago, my grandmother was dying and I didn't know it. My mom just told me, I was living in Virginia. My mom told me that she was sick. That's all she said. Anyway, my grandmother passes away. I wasn't there. I was devastated. For 2 years, I carried around that guilt because my grandmother was everything to me, that I wasn't there for her. She asked for me and I wasn't there. My mom never told me she was dying. She just said she was sick. I woke up, and this is where, Natalie, you just hit this thing for me. You maybe remember this. 2 years later, I woke up in the middle of the night with this feeling of absolute pure love that was almost physically painful. And when I opened my eyes, it was all white light. I literally could barely see out of my eyes because it was so bright, it was hurting my eyes. And as I looked around, it was disorienting. I couldn't, my human mind was trying to find a point of recognition in this whole thing. This is before, and anyway, I couldn't see with my natural eyes, and it was absolutely blinding, but I knew that it was the purest form of love I've ever experienced in my life. And it literally woke me up from sleep, but it washed over me. And I just let it soak in me. And I just, and by the time I realized what it was, it started dissipating, that it was gone. But that pain and that shame and that guilt that I had for this one woman in my life that was like my lighthouse, my guiding light that helped me through my childhood, God removed it in a nanosecond. And
Praise
out of doubt, she was with God, and she was safe, and she was loved. And I was so I had that same experience years and years ago, but God used that purity of love. He just washed all that. He just took, it was such a burden. And he removed the entire thing, even my thought processes of thinking about it, not even, he moved the heart condition that came with that guilt and shame and or woulda, wish and all that other stuff. Everything was completely removed from my body, from that mind, soul, and spirit. I'm telling you, he just took it away. That's how powerful this God is. That's how much I love.
Good.
I was in so much pain. He came,
Woo!
took it away just like that. And he gave me this. I forgot all about this. Oh my God. I'm so glad you said that, Natalie. That purity of love. So when you were speaking about it, I was like, holy smoke. he did the same thing with you. Just like, wow. I'm just absolutely blown away. But people that are listening to this, I never asked for that encounter. I was in pain for 2 years of guilt from that beautiful woman that I absolutely loved. And God came and he took all that from me and he replaced it with absolute love for her and for myself through that process. And I just want you to know, whoever's listening, he'll do the same for you. He's a God of all things, encounters, suddenlies. Oh man, all he wants to do is just love on you, heal you, and bring you closer to him and closer to the rest of his children, because we're all one family. We are never separated. We are all his. You are our brothers, you are our sisters, and welcome. All I can say is welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm feeling really led just to release that.
Yeah.
Now, Tracy, I think you should. Would you release that over all the people watching? So I know everyone's going to be watching at different times, but right now here where we are, what is it? It's almost 11 o'clock p.m., right? So whatever time you're watching this, it doesn't matter. But Tracy, would you just release that, what you just said, the encounters, the love, the understanding of the goodness of God over each one of them? And for those of us, you know, if you're watching this at nighttime, I specifically feel to release that over their sleep. There's something about the sleep specifically. Would you do that? Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, about the sleep, and the reason why he came my sleep, because during the day I was so wrapped up in this thought pattern and these feelings and stuff, he couldn't come to me. There was like that static. So when I was at sleep, completely at rest, my mind was quiet. That's when he came in to perform that miracle. He is a miracle. He's a miracle God. And I just release this word over everybody that's watching. God knows exactly what you're going through. God sees your pain. He knows every single situation. He knew you before the foundation of the world. He knows every hair on your head, every mole on your body, he knows it. He knows it. He created you out of love, and you are loved. You are a loved child. Whoever you're, the family you're born in, I know it might be difficult, but you are a loved child, and he wants everybody reconciled to him. He's a miracle God. He will come to you where you're at. You do not have to be praying 5 hours a day and you know, fasting and whatever. If he called you to do that's one thing, he'll meet you right where you're at. It doesn't mean it could be in your car, it could be in your bathroom, it could be in your shower. It could be walking, you know, you sitting on a park bench somewheres. It could be through nature. It could be through other people. He wants a relationship with you. I ask, ponder this, just ask, say, God, show me who you are. Show me the love you have for me. Show me. They tell me about you. That's why I want to see who you are. All you got to do is just ask. Say, show me who you are. Come into my life. If you're this miracle God, come and challenge God. He loves a challenge. Give it to him. Just have him come. Bring him. Say, God, come into X, Y, and Z situation. He'll show up and he'll blow your mind. That's who your Father is. He's there to love and heal you. Let him. Let God in. Let him in. It's that easy. It's that easy. You are loved. Never forget that. And I just want to thank God for this, you know, this Zoom meeting. It's my first one with you ladies, and it was uncomfortable today, I have to admit, but I'm so glad we did it. But everybody, we're coming to this, like Shauna was saying, this, you know, this collective thing where you were not meant to be alone. And whoever's listening out there, you're not meant to be alone. You're not meant to isolate. You're not meant to live in fear. Reach out. It's time to reach out. And of course, your Brian's website and everything, you know, you can connect with everybody that's on it. Everybody's opening, loving, and they will help you through everything. And it is a journey. It is a journey, but God's with you through every second of every day.
Dang, that's good. Yeah.
And you, love and blessings, everybody out there. Love and blessings. Let's do life together, people. Let's do life together.
Yes.
In Jesus'
That's
name.
awesome. Amen.
Amen.
Wow. Thank you so much, ladies. And I especially want to honor Tracy and Susie here and Natalie too. She
Yes.
wasn't planning on this.
Yes.
We kind of ambushed her and Shauna too to join. But Tracy and Susie did exactly what we talked about tonight. They pulled those big girl pants up and they did something uncomfortable. And I'll tell you what, I'm blessed by it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And to everybody else, thank you, Heather. Thank you, Shauna. Thank you, Kendra. You guys are amazing. I love you so much. Thank you to everybody who's joined us.
Love y'all. Can I
Bye.
say one thing before we go?
Yeah.
I just want to say that for whoever is listening to this, you hear us talking about Fam Bam. If you're interested, get in touch with some of us. Let me tell you, Fam Bam is just it. You come together and you hang out and you love on God and you love on one another, and there's no expectations. And I'm going to tell you, I went to my first Fam Bam just a little while back, and I went in and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know any of these people, but I never wanted to leave them again.
Yeah.
And
I'll tell you, I fell in love
and
with you.
what happens is you get in that place and there's so much love. It frees you to receive and to give love like you've never experienced with everyone. And it causes you to love on people and be around people that maybe you normally in your normal life would not have ever done. I loved on a woman. I got up out of my chair and put my arms around a woman at that Fam Bam, and she put her arms around me. It broke something on the inside of me that I didn't even know was there.
Oh,
So I'm just saying, it's just love. Let love happen. Let it happen.
Yeah. And so if you're on this and you're wondering how to connect, I just feel like we should just say Father of Glory Global Ministries, or if you want to look online, it's FOGGM, is it .com or org? And you can find out all about Fam Bam on there, all the details, location, all of that.
yes,
So
it will be up soon.
yeah. Oh, it's not up.
Not yet.
Orangeburg.
I want to add the same thing, like my testimony with Fam Bam, my first one, I got tricked into going. I thought I was going to a friend's house. I showed
The
up.
first official Fam Bam Kendra went
Was
to.
it the first one?
Yeah.
That makes it special. Not only was it my first one, it was everyone's first one. But I felt like it was a family reunion of people that I've never met yet. In the natural, you get there and like you were saying, Susie, there's just so much love and walls break down that you don't even realize that are there. And God shows up in amazing ways. And he speaks through people and he shares things and he answers questions and you get keys and you get to see yourself through other people. Like you overhear conversations of like, oh yeah, and this one time, or this person did this, and you get to hear different things about yourself that you never realized, or you get to see how you show up for other people and how God uses you. It is the most amazing experience. I highly, highly recommend it. And I'm so excited to hear that I am free that weekend. I wrote it down in the calendar. So I am planning on driving in. I do have to discuss it with my other half, but it should be okay. So, yay.
Awesome. Yay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We love you.
Yes. Love you guys.
Love y'all.
Love to everyone. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you, Kendra, for facilitating.
Bye.